in the morning, baby, don't leave.
Welcome to this week's episode of Simplified Relationships. I'm Jayson Mair, your relationship coach here from JMC, to simplify the relationship struggles we have each and every day. Thank you very much for joining us wherever you are in the world. If you're watching live, hashtag live. If you're watching the replay, hashtag replay. It's more for the stats so I can see who's coming live, who's on the replay, and make sure that I can get to your answers and answer your questions either on the live or even after I finished, and you might have questions in regards to today's topic. That's what we're talking about, today's topic. And today's topic, which I haven't mentioned, but you would see it in the comment section. Let me ask you a question. How often do you come home from work? Well, you've been at work, you've had a rough day. It's just hideously bad. There's meetings after meetings or arguments or disagreements or, it's just been freaking crazy. It's just been nuts. And you're just like, oh man, now I got to go home. And then I'm going to get bombarded with questions and conversations and everything else when it comes to my partner or my kids or housemates or whoever you live with, and you think, you know what, I just wish that I'm all peopled out. I wish people would leave me the hell alone, not talk to me, be able to walk in, do my thing, and have no one bother me for a period of time. Wouldn't you like that? Do you have that happening? Because if you do, that's what we're going to be talking about today. So let's get started. So I've got a question. Where are we? We're going to put this question up because I want to ask you, what do you do to relieve stress from your work stresses? So when you have stress at work, what do you do and how do you handle it? Because that's what we're going to tackle today. I'm going to give you 4 tips on how to tackle it, but I want to know what your tips are, because you know what? This show's all about you guys. I'm just here. I'm the facilitator delivering the information, but it's up to you. It's all about you and what you do, how you handle it, because each and every one of you is different to what I think and say and feel, and each of you are all different. You're all individuals. So as it says the question, what do you do to relieve stress from your work stresses? Put your answer with a hashtag QA in the comments. So if anyone else is watching, they want to know, they can go look through the hashtags and go, oh, okay, yep, cool, you're cool, great, fantastic. So thank you. If you are watching, please put the comments, put a comment, drop in and say hello. Sorry, what's going on here? There we go. I don't know why that's come up like that. So anyway, thank you for joining us. And how's your week been? How has it been? Because even though there are some countries that are starting, like ourselves, are starting to, well, we say starting, we've been starting for a little while, getting back into some sort of normality. They're starting to say, okay, I think it's 25 to 50% of workers in offices can now start returning to work and so forth. There is some countries and in some states in the US that are starting to open things up, even though they're doing the vaccinations and stuff. They're still, some are not, and some are opening up. I noticed Major League Baseball has talked about some stadiums only, at some of their sporting events, only half crowds, and other stadiums, as in Texas, full crowd. So then you've got the UK in Europe, which have been shut down usually since around December last year. And I feel for you guys, because you're currently in the similar lockdown that we were in here in Melbourne most of last year, which was a level 4 where you were not allowed out except for an hour a day to do exercise or go to a doctor or go get shopping. There was only one person per house that was allowed to go shopping. Yeah, so and I hear they're talking about till September. So I really feel for you guys. And if you ever need to talk or you need to reach out and that, by all means, please, you've got my details. Reach me on the socials. I always reply to all my DMs. So please get in touch if you just need a chat, need a vent, or just need to talk about absolute crap, nothing to do with what you're dealing with, just to distract you. That's what it's all about. So, work stresses. And because work stresses mainly too, because there's been people that have been stuck at home and there's a lot that are now going out to work. So we're going to talk about being at work and coming home, and I will try and touch on some of the things of the ones that are working at home as well and having to deal with it, sort of thing, because it does get quite tough for a lot of people. So we've got Sandy in the house. Shared, hello. Hey, Sandy. Mwah. My beautiful girl. Good to see you. Thank you very much for jumping on board and saying hello. So, how do you handle your work stress? Do you do it with exercise? Do you do it with smoking, drinking? Do you do it with, there's multiple ways of dealing with work stresses. And I've discussed this with quite a few of the JMC family over the last couple of hours and yesterday as well, and early this week, because it has been coming up a lot. Sorry, I'm just thinking about something. Something just crossed my mind about it when I was thinking, oh, okay, hang on a sec. So you've had a hard day at work. You're heading home. You're in the car. What do? Because the big thing is some people will actually, oh, yes, Sandy's just put up with wine. Yes, that's how she deals with it. Morning, Rosie. Thanks for joining us. How are you this morning? And exercise, it works best for me. Yes. Yeah, well, that's one of the big things as well. Myself, if I'm leaving work and when I was in the car, Rosie, Sandy saying hi to Rosie, you're coming home in the car, you like to crank up the music. I like to turn up the music and really just, scream it out loud so you can really sort of just let out any stresses to get home. But then you get to the point where you get home and you've got a partner, a husband, a wife, a girlfriend, boyfriend, housemate, kids, whatever. Tony Robbins mentioned this a couple of times, and there's been a few different stories that I think John Gottman does it on his, talks about it on his, and that is if we don't have a plan for when we're heading home after a stressful day at work, we can attach a neural pathway, a negative neural pathway to that family member or whoever it is that's at home. You wondering what I mean? Okay. Say if you stub your toe, you're walking around and you stub the toe, and the first thing you look up and you see someone going, after you do that a couple of times, there's going to be a neural pathway that's going to go, if I stub my toe and that person is there, I am going to be so pissed. No, I'm going to lose my shit. And when that happens, it starts to build a neural pathway. So then what happens is, even if you don't stub your toe and you see that person, it's going to have this negative connotation attached to them. And you don't want that, because if that's your loved one, your partner, your husband, your spouse, your kids and stuff like that, you don't want a negative neural attachment to them, because then it's going to start to affect your relationship. Every time you see him, there are going to be days when you've had a good day and you're going to walk, you head home and you're going to think, oh, I just see that person and they're going to be this or they're going to be that and so forth. And you're just going to go, oh God, no. And that's what happens when you start to, so you've got to have a plan. So when you're heading home, you're like, okay, well, I don't want them to really, You don't want to get angry at them. You've got to communicate. So I'm going to go through 4 tips. We've got Rosie saying whiskey. Whiskey helps her afternoons after she gets home from work. I see there's a pattern here. We got whiskey, we've got wine, we've got Angie. How are you? Thanks for joining us. So good to see you. Oh, lovely bunch of flowers there, Bobby. Thank you very much. So good to see you. Thank you for joining us from over in the US. So let's get into it. And as I said, and if you're just joining us, Angie, as well, this is what we're discussing. What do you do to relieve stress from your work stresses? Put your answer with a hashtag Q&A in the comments so people can check that out. We're talking about being stressed at work, coming home and not taking it out on your loved ones, housemates, kids, siblings, anyone like that. Sometimes we want to, but it's not good. And especially if it's your spouse, because that could just really damage a relationship. And right now, as I'm experienced as a relationship coach, and a lot of people are seeing, with all the lockdowns, like for example, in the UK, with all the lockdowns right now, they're going through what we went through last year, which is there are people that have been together for years. It can be 5, 10, 15, 20 plus years. And they've been doing their own jobs. They get up and one goes to work and the other one stays home, or one goes to work, one goes to the other. And it goes from there. It works out great. But what happens is any issues, they don't necessarily always deal with it because they're so busy with life, especially if kids are involved, because you get home and then you're spending time trying to get the kids to sporting events or to after school activities and stuff like that. So you're not only being, say, Jim and Joan, but you're also being, worker A and worker B, and you're also being a husband and a wife, and you're also being a mum and a dad, or an uncle and an aunt. There are so many hats you wear that you forget to go back to the original Jim and Joan. I'm just going to call them Jim and Joan for example purposes. And the problem I see with a lot of relationships after 15, 20 years, Jim doesn't recognize the Joan that he started dating. And Joan's looking across and she says to me, I don't even know who he is anymore. I see him laying in bed and I look at him and I go, I don't even know who you are. Now, when this breaks down, the reason it breaks down like this is things like what we're going to discuss today. It's all these little things, but they build up. Now, when they build up, they become bigger things and they start erupting underneath. It's like a volcano. The lava's building and building. The pressure's building, building. And then you get stuck in the house together 24/7, 7 days a week, for however many months, like it's going in the UK and what happened in other countries and as well as here last year. And it all just explodes and overflows. And that's the stuff you got to avoid. Well, not avoid, but yes, you got to avoid. But when I say avoid, not an avoidance way. I want you to realize that I mean in a way where you are have dealt with it and it doesn't explode. Because what happens with the avoidance way of dealing with things is it doesn't explode. One of the things I use as an example with a lot of clients is, those big inflatable balls, the beach balls, the colored beach balls you get. You ever gone into a pool and you try to hold one of those underwater? You get it, you put all the pressure and you're pushing it under the water and you're holding it and you put all that effort in and you get your arms are shaking and you're like, ooh, and you get it under the water and you're like, I got it. And you think, yeah, I got this. And you look around to tell someone, hey, I've got it. And as soon as you take your focus off for 1 second, bang, it smashes you in the face. Now, avoiding dealing with situations means you get smashed in the face when you least expect it. You might be doing a work presentation and you're in the middle of it and all of a sudden something clicks in the head and next minute you're in a ball of tears. Or you're about to go into an important meeting, or you're about to do something that you've been building up to, and 2 minutes before it happens, you collapse into a ball of mess and an emotional breakdown. And you're like, what the hell is this happening? This is the volcano erupting. This is the ball slipping out of your hand because you put so much energy in holding it under that it smashes you in the face. Doing the strategies I'm going to give you today are just one little step on handling those situations so it doesn't become this happen. It's one less thing that's building up that takes the pressure off. Because you spend so much time holding that ball under. I know people will go, why doesn't he just use the volcano scenario instead of the ball? Because you can't control, you're putting as much pressure to hold that ball underwater. You can't do that with a volcano. The volcano just does it and it erupts when it's erupting. But holding the ball, if you put even half the energy into holding that ball under the water, into actually dealing with some of these situations, you'll be spinning that ball in your hand and just watching it spin in your hand and just going, yeah, baby, we got this. You look at your partner and you're like, high five. Yep, I got this happening. So, that's why we need to deal with these situations. And I know there's a lot of people that are like, oh, I'm not very good at dealing with stuff. When you get to a point where you can deal with it easily and effectively and with the least amount of effort, you'll deal with everything because you're like, yeah, give it to me. I'm ready for it. Give it to me. It's great. It's fantastic. I can deal with this because it's easy for you. So Sandy's put there, vent to me. Yes. There's another thing. Sometimes you got to vent to your partner. And it's how you deal with that venting that you can actually really, get an understanding of what's happening and being able to let it out. But you've got to have that communication to go, hey, I need to talk to you. And that's what we're going to discuss right now. Let me just have a swig of water. Okay, let's get started. For those of you who just joined us, this is what we're discussing about. What do you do to relieve stress from your work stresses when you get home? Put your answers in the comments below, #QA in the comments, so we can go through and look at those later down and answer any questions or answers you have in there. So thank you. First tip first, know your stresses. That's a big thing. When I say know your stresses, know what it is that you're dealing with, because we're going to discuss what we're going to do with that. So if you're driving home and you're letting the music out and stuff like that, and you need to communicate to your other half, and then what we're talking about is preparing your home for your arrival. I know that sounds a bit like, but it is, because you don't want to go in there and end up in arguments as soon as you walk in, because you're going to get to a point where you're going to start hating going home. There are going to be times where you're going to drive home and then you're going to pull up at the front, and I've done it in the past, and you just sit in the car and you're like, and you might, pull your phone out, start playing on your phone. You might start, texting, or you might be on the phone talking to someone, and you won't say you're home, and they'll go, oh, have you arrived home? It sounds quiet. And you're like, yeah. And they're like, don't you want to go inside? A lot of the times you don't, because you're enjoying de-stressing with this person you're talking to on the phone, because they're not talking to you about work. They're probably talking about their own rubbish, or they're talking about something funny that, they want to deal with, and or they're dealing with, and it distracts you from yours. So you need a plan to get, when you get home, to prepare. So you need to communicate these, and to do that, you need to know your stresses. If you know what these stresses are, you're going to be able to explain it when you talk to your other half about what you're dealing with and how you'd like things to happen, sort of things. So be clear on them, understand what's going on, because I'm going to get you to do something with those. So if it's like, I'm dealing with this, I'm dealing with this, I'm dealing with that, I've got to do this, just know what you're dealing with so you can express it to them One, they might have an answer, maybe not, but just know them, okay? Tip 2, understand what you need. Now, you say, understand what you need. Need what? When you get home, do you need to be able to walk in and have a fanfare of people come charging at you, marching at you, going, yay, mum's home, she's walked in the house, whoop, 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 party balloons, celebration? No, probably not. If you do, good on you. As I said before, some people will get in the car, drive home and sit out the front of the house for half an hour in the car. Now, do you need a whiskey or a wine or something brought to you when you first get home? Do you need some space? Do you need a hug? Understand what you need. So you've come home from work, it's a stressful day. Do you need to walk in the house and get a hug from your loved one and then talk? Do you want a hug from your loved one and then go away, leave me alone? Do you need a hug and a glass of something? Or do you need to walk in and not have anyone approach you? No one talk to you. This is the stuff you need to understand and get right in your head. Even if you've got to try it a couple of times, just say, I don't know. In a previous relationship I had, we had discussed, we were working together, and we would say, okay, if we left the office together, shut the door. As soon as that door is locked, no talky about work. We can talk about what's on the radio, or we can talk about something we see on the side of the road that's funny or whatever. No talky about work. No. Sandy's just got, yes, a fanfare and lease. Yes. Main reason for that is because we said we've walked out. We want to leave everything at work. If we are going to discuss something and there's something that needs to be discussed, what we'd worked out is when we got home, my partner at the time would say, right, give me an hour. Let me pour a wine. Let me sit down and watch my two favorite shows that go for half an hour, Family Feud, and there was another one, I think, The Project. Then she would go and have a shower. I'd walk in the house. I'd go and do something in the kitchen, get ready for dinner or something. And we would, might talk about the show and that, but we'd not talk about work whatsoever. If I was home and she came home, again, first hour, don't say anything. There's other people that will want, I've got a couple that they worked it out that the wife would get home. They both worked, but she would leave early. He would leave late. He'd come home late. She would, as soon as it arrived, their pets would hear them start barking. She would pour him a drink, walk in, give him a hug, give him a drink, take his bag off and put it on the floor, and then she'd go off and do her thing. He'd do his thing for an hour and stuff, and then they'd get together, have dinner because dinner's cooking or whatever else like that. So, but it was an agreement on both sides. Both sides sort of went, you know what, this is how we're going to, and look, even when, now you sort of think, okay, well, she's doing that for him, but also because he can't do it for her most days because he was always coming home late. But he can help her with things to get ready in the morning. And then on his days off, when she's like that, he can do that for her, which I'll get to in a moment sort of thing. But you need to understand, what is it you need? What do you need when you get home? Is it a hug? Is it a drink? Is it food? Is it space? Is it say nothing at all? Is it, I don't want sound, I don't want anything. Or is it, I want to walk in and have, I don't know, a Star Wars Darth Vader march as I walk in the door, just for my own whatever. Or, Big Girls Don't Cry, or a song that you walk in the house running through your speaker on your phone. You might have a setting on your phone that as soon as you get home, as soon as you walk up the door, it plays and you walk into that and you just have your favorite album playing in the afternoon, for the first half hour. And then when you need to talk, you tell Alexa to, switch off. and you're fine. But understand what you need. Be clear on what you need, because I want you to communicate what you need. Meaning, open your mouth. Don't talk rubbish. Sit down, have a chat. Now, when I say that, there are times you have to pick to get this right. If you, again, don't want to ruin things. And that is, don't have the conversation. Well, you will understand what you and your partner have in common and get an understanding of when a good time is. Usually for most couples, first thing in the morning's not a good time to discuss it. Unless you're both home and you might be in bed and you have that little chit chat where you're sitting around talking about stuff. Great. Do not, and I repeat, do not do it straight after you've got home from work. That's what we're trying to stop, okay? Best time I usually suggest having conversations like this is usually, say, on a weekend. If you work Monday to Friday, 9 to 5, Saturday mornings usually, if you've got kids, you're usually getting up, washing, shopping, taking kids to sporting events and stuff like that. Either the Saturday, though, if you don't have kids and you're home resting, taking it easy, or Sunday morning, just say, I want to discuss about my afternoons and what's going on with work, and can we work out something we can do that we help each other when we get home? And they'll go, what do you mean? Okay, well, some days I come home and I'm in a bad mood. I don't want to take it out on you, or I don't want to take it out on you and the kids, or I don't want to take it out on anyone. So is it possible, because I love you guys, so I'm thinking, let's communicate this. Is it possible to maybe just for the first hour, just give me some space? So I come in for an hour, if you want to give us a hug, great, or I'll come and give you a hug and a kiss. Don't ask me how work was. Don't say that word. If you're going to say, how was your day, or how's work, maybe just say, how are you? Or, oh, so good to see you, or something like that. But as I said before, if you know your stresses and understand what you need, you can then communicate that need to them. So don't be afraid to have that discussion and say, look, I don't want to ruin it here. I want to make sure everyone is, understandable. Can everyone just give me half hour, an hour, where they don't bombard me questions? I know, the kids will come up and give me a hug, but just give me that space to just sit down, or go and sit in my office, or go and have a shower and pour a drink and sit down, or make a shake, or whatever you're having. Maybe go sit in the backyard and just de-stress and talk on the phone to a friend for an hour or something like that, or whatever it is. You probably don't go and talk to her for an hour if you're going to tell your partner you don't want to talk to them for an hour, because that's not going to look good. All right. And you also need to, in this sense, put your phone down for an hour or so as well. So if you're going to come home and you're going to want all this, use your phone if you want to play music, but don't go answering calls or messages or something like that. Maybe put it on flight mode or do not disturb for an hour or so. If you're going to do it with your household, do it with your phone as well. Everyone, just switch off for whatever amount of time, but be able to communicate that to your loved one, because what you're doing, you're helping them. You're not demanding them to do something. By you asking if they're on the same page as you, you're helping them help you. Help me, help you, help me. All right? Help you. Help me, help you. All right? So you want to be able to, everyone's on the same page, which leads to tip number 4, be willing to reciprocate the support. If you're going to ask or want your family or your loved ones to do this, you need to be able to do it for them. And if you can't, because as I said before, one might get home later than the other and that one person's there, you need to then work out what you can do to sort of support your partner as well. So, okay, they may not get home after you. They might get home before you. Okay, do something for them in the morning that makes their morning better. Maybe you set the coffee machine to make their coffee before they get up, and they can smell that, that coffee smell. Go, oh, that's nice. Thanks for doing that, babe. I really appreciate it. Or do something where, they've cooked dinner for you, and you go run a bath. But you've had a shower, haven't you? That's not for me. That's for you. Because, you got home before me. I wasn't able to do something, so I'm going to run you a bath. You go and run a bath. I'm going to look after the kids, or I'm going to chill out here for a while. Light some candles. Run a bath. Chill. Let them relax. Maybe if you got a speaker in there, playing their favorite album and just turn it down low, turn the light off, just a candle. Let them. Maybe you might even join them in that bath if you've got one. Just saying, but give them a little bit of space as well, because they've been doing the same as you. They've probably been at work all day working. They've come home and may have organized dinner, or they've been doing stuff before you got home and stuff. And they've had their little chill time. Maybe if there's no kids at home, they've been able to chill and relax where you haven't. So as a reward for them doing that for you, you need to reciprocate the support for them as well. That way, you're both not just taking, but giving. You got to realize in a relationship, and I want to bring this up because I haven't mentioned it in a little while, relationship is like a bank account. Every one of us should be at least putting some deposits in here and there, left, right, and center. The sad fact that when a relationship is breaking down, there's one depositing, and you know what I'm going to say, the other one is taking. Yeah, I'll take a bit more of that, and I'll take more of that. Sometimes literally, sometimes when it ends, the bank account's empty, and they're like, whoa, what the hell is going on here? And that is why things like we're talking about today need to happen. You need to be able to communicate that, and you need to reciprocate the support for each other, so you're both helping each other. You're both depositing, you're both taking a little, but you keep depositing into an account. Your account of love, the account of your relationship. That's what you do. And if you're not doing that, you might be watching this right now and you might be going, oh, yeah, I haven't really put in much lately. I seem to be taking a bit. Maybe it's a good time to do it. Because you're going to realize after a while, well, you may not realize, and that's the sad part that a lot of people don't, is that after a while, someone who's sick of giving and not having any take themselves is going to eventually go, you know what, this is not working for me. I've asked them, I've spoken to them about it, but you know what, it hasn't worked. And then one day that person's going to come home and they're going to find no one's going to be there. They're going to get exactly what they want, which is all the space and quietness they wanted, but it's going to be permanent because someone is just going to go, enough, and enough is enough, and they're going to pack up and go. And it is happening in droves right now, in droves. And people are like, oh my God, I can't believe this is happening right now. So, you know, it's you got to be very careful on how you approach this. Hey, brother, Carl, thank you for watching. Good to see you on and tuning in. Hope you're having a lovely morning up there in the, well, I'd say sunny Gold Coast, but I hear it's been raining up there. So hope you're well. Hope this is helpful too. And if this is helpful to any of you, please share this video, tag some people in the comments, because it might be something they really need. Now, I did say I'd talk to you about people that are living at home and working at home together. It's pretty much the same thing, except for because you're home all day, it makes it very hard to set up how you're going to be at home, because it's not like, it's the end of the day like, hey honey, how was your day? You've heard me screaming down the phone in my office or in the lounge room or in the dining room, dealing with these idiots that I'm working with because they're just driving me nuts. So these tips need to be expressed even more because you're in the same house. Now, it's not always possible to do some of this when I mean having some space, but you need to find how to make your space. So when I said to you before, understand what you need, that's both of you. So at the end of the day, you might go, okay, well, I'm going to sit out the front of the apartment or the house or wherever you live, and I'm just going to sit out there and be by myself. And I don't want you to come out. I just want to give me an hour to sit out there, and I'm just going to watch the neighbors go by or whatever. I just need fresh air. I'm going to sit in the backyard and watch the birds or listen to the birds or, watch the animals and the clouds go over. But I need that. You both need that. Another thing also is take up some hobbies. Some people are finding, jigsaw puzzles were a big thing last year, where they go, okay, well, I finish work. They just go, give me an hour. I'm just going to go for an hour and sit at my desk and play with a jigsaw puzzle. And then when I'm ready, I'll come and talk to you, and I'll be fine. Now, if your partner does this, the other thing you've got to realize, you don't take it personally. Don't take it as, oh, well, they finished work, but they don't want to talk to me. Why don't they want to talk to me? I don't get why, I'm their partner. They should be able to talk to me. They're doing it so they don't take it out on you. They don't connect that neural pathway I said at the start of today's episode, where it's a negative neural pathway attached to you, and they look at you and they just get angry because that's what they see every time they're frustrated and they come home from work and they walk in and you're there going, hey, what's happening? How was your day? I don't want to hear that. You don't want to do that for them. So the idea of doing this is because we want to make sure that we're on the same path. So, Brookie, welcome. Thank you for joining us. How are you? Good to see you. I feel like the underlying topic here is self-awareness. Exactly. I'm going to use it. You, girl, are going to get, because it's 2/3 of the way through the show. There you go. The comment of the day, Brookie. Thank you. It is all about self-awareness. And you have to dig deep inside and work out what it is. I said before with the tips before, and because you've just joined us, Brookie, this is what we're discussing. How do you deal and relieve stress from your work stresses? So when you get home and not take it out on your partner or your housemate or your pup, I know you've got a couple of pups there. How do you, and look, pups are probably the best thing when it comes to de-stressing. I would think you would agree with me when I say that, Brooke, because who can be mad at a pup? You come home from work and they are just undeniably, unconditionally so damn excited to see you. Their tails are going, their ears are going, they're just going nuts. They're just so happy to see you. And yes, sometimes you want to walk to them and go, okay, calm down. But you've got to admit, even when you get down for a couple of minutes and they give you hugs and kisses and they're licking your face and they're going crazy, and it's hard to be mad at them, right? So maybe you need a pet if you're living by yourself or you're living with a partner and they're not home. Maybe a pet is something you need as well. But you've got to get an understanding of what it is. As I said before, what do you need? You got to understand that. You need to know exactly what it is. For years there, I used to sort of go and go see a personal trainer 2 or 3 times a week. I see one now twice a week, and we'll do boxing because it was just good to get it out. I hate boxing as a sport. I'm not a big fan of it, but for fitness, just letting it out, hitting those pads and stuff, fan-friggin-tastic. It just to de-stress. If you've got no one to do it, maybe you need a boxing bag. Carl, you're on. You've probably got a boxing bag at home. I know you and your partner or wife probably do that, because I know that she's very fit as well. It'll feel good just to relieve that stress. Brookie's just throwing something in there. My situation is actually the reverse. I'm aware of myself behaviors before I set foot in the door at work. Very good, mate. Very good. That's exactly right. And you as I said before, you hit the nail on the head with this one being, you've got to be self-aware. And that leads to the final word comment that I'm going to put up in a few minutes, is you can't control the other person. You can't control anyone else, but you can control how you react. You can control how you behave, how you see things, how you think about things. And if you can get to a point where you can understand yourself and understand how you work, how you react to things, you then can do something about it. You don't want to be doing it for ages and then your partner going, well, every time you come in, you are just a rude individual. You are just such an ass. I don't even want to be around you when you walk in the door. You don't want them to be saying that. You don't need that. And it's not good for your relationship. And it's not good for the relationship, not just between you and your partner, but it's not good for your relationship with yourself. You need to take a good hard look in the mirror and go, okay, what do I need to do? And by doing something like this, makes it all that much easier. Because I got no guest on today and I decided to talk about this, we're not going to go for the full hour because it's a Sunday morning for a lot of you and it's a Saturday afternoon for the rest. But it's the weekend and I don't want to take up too much more of your time. But as I said, as we go over the tips just one more time, know your stresses, know what you're going through, understand what you're going through, understand how much you take a part in those stresses and what you can do about them. 2, understand what you need from when you finish and you get home, what you need from the people at home around you, how you'd like things to be, and be able to tell them that, because that's when you're going to have to communicate what you need. Find a time, not in the morning, not in the afternoon on a weekday with work, but sometime when you may be going for a walk or you're able to chill, communicate and be on the same page with your partner. Say, is this possible? And if they go, yeah, but what about me? Be willing to reciprocate the support back to them. If you're able to do that, you're both on the same page. You have a better understanding of what each of you need, and do it. If you're not very good at remembering, put it in your phone. Carry these things around all the time. Put your reminders in your phone. Okay, well, I'm coming home. You can look and go, well, I'm going to be home later that night. I might run her a bath, or I might pick up a bunch of flowers, or I might buy a bottle of wine. And then when we've had our space, then we might sit down and have a bottle of wine, and then she might go have a bath, or he might go into his man cave or whatever else. But be willing to do it for both of you. Don't expect, it's like a good manager. A good manager should never ask their staff to do something they're not willing to do. And it's the same thing. Do not ask your partner to do something for you if you're not willing to do it for them. Okay? Fair is fair. Am I right? Or am I right? Okay. So thank you very much for joining us. As I said, I want to thank Brookie. Comment of the day, thank you very much. Carl, Sandy, Rosie, Angie, and all of you that also join us afterwards and watch the replay. Thank you very much for joining us in this episode. If you have a question or you have something you want me to tackle in any of the upcoming shows, please, where am I? I'm looking for... Well, I should have had that playing before, but there we go. You can find me on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, and Twitter. And like the video if you found it helpful, or share it with someone if you think they could get some help from it. I'm only doing it for you guys. I don't get paid to do this. I'm doing this because I get so many people struggling with these things, and I can't come to your house in person, so this is how I do it. So if you have something that you want for me to tackle and talk about, or bring someone on to discuss, because we have guests on most weeks, and we've got some doozy of some guests coming up in the next month or so. We've got a sleep expert who's going to be coming on and talking about how sleep and good sleep and not so good sleep affects your relationships, which is going to be awesome. We've also got this woman is amazing. She's going to be coming on and discussing scammers. Now, there are some scams going on at the moment on Instagram where people are pretending to be someone you know. So they're fake copying your account and opening up a new account and just adjusting the name of it a little bit, and then trying to add your friends and reach out to them. And these people are actually been talking to your friends, and then they're finding out it's not who they thought they were. So this good lady is going to be coming on, and she's going to be talking about dealing with scammers online, how to spot them, how to deal with them. Fantastic stuff. We've got some great guests coming up. I just thought maybe you can spend a morning with me or an afternoon with me today. Hope it hasn't been too hard to deal with. I hope you haven't had to put up with me for too long. So we will finish with a final word, the comment, not the comment of the day, the quote of the day. Healing comes from taking responsibility to realize that it is you and no one else that creates your thoughts, your feelings, and your actions. Peter Shepard. Remember that. Healing comes from taking responsibility to realize that it is you, not anyone else, that creates what you think, how you feel, and your actions. Until next episode, thank you for joining us. Don't be afraid to share this and let us know. Good stuff. Thanks, Sandy. Good to have you on the show. Till next time, love your work. Stay safe. Reach out if you need to chat to anyone. And just remember, you're responsible for what happens to you and ones around you. So just look after yourself, all right? Don't beat yourself up. Oh, and I will reach out. Any of you that are going through a breakup or have ended a relationship recently, finally, it's been released, coming up very soon within the next couple of weeks. I'll be releasing my A2E breakup recovery program, which will help those of you that have gone through a relationship breakup in the last 12 or so months. If you've been through a relationship or know someone who's been through a relationship breakup and is really struggling how to cope with it and what they're doing and where to go and whatever, this course is going to be fantastic. And I'm going to be doing a beta price because we're going to be doing it on Facebook for the first round until we get the platform that we're going to be running it through. So if you're interested, put breakup recovery in the comments, and I'll take your name down and let you know when it comes out. So should be within about the next 3 to 5 weeks, we will have it being released. So please keep an eye out. Again, thank you very much for joining us. If you have any questions or you have any comments, please leave them in the comments below, and I will definitely do my best to answer. Until next episode, thank you very much for being here today. Take care of yourself, and see you next episode.